weak side. He finds Chris Paul for the open three. And here comes Ivey, 100 miles an hour in the front court. Got a rebounding foul, but it's going to be on the Warriors.
So you don't want the Pistons to start out working you, kind of playing at a different speed, trying to work together.
Yeah, you've out-rebounded
Chris Paul. Where's Detroit?
So Chris is going to go into the locker room and...
So breaking news right after the Golden State Warriors took down the Detroit Pistons in a feisty matchup the same day that Jonathan Kuminga was reported to have high tensions with head coach Steve Kerr. Right after the game, Chris Paul, he has a fractured hand and he will be undergoing surgery next week. Caleb, immediate reactions.
I mean, when it rains, it pours, you know? Isn't that the old saying? Because, I mean, you lose in heartbreaking fashion to Jokic on a 40-footer that honestly looked a lot like Steph in OKC. Years ago, and now you lose arguably your second most important player this season, who's had great chemistry with Steph Curry, been a real leader, distributing the ball very well, and now no timetable for return, and you're 10th in the standings. It's not looking good. It is not looking good in the Bay.
Not looking good at all. That is literally like the most simple way that we could put it. Like you were saying, Caleb, even when you win, you lose. The Golden State Warriors going through so much right now. Steph Curry just putting this offense on his back. He is only getting older, not getting any better. Klay Thompson, he has been super inconsistent all year. He has acknowledged that he is not the same player that he was before injuries or even in that 2022 run to the title. And Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, your two young guys who you were hoping to take on more responsibilities, have voiced that they are not happy with the roles that Steve Kerr has been playing in right now. Draymond Green is currently on an indefinite suspension from the team, and Gary Payton II is also hurt as well. I mean, this all signs point to them having to make some big moves at the trade deadline. We were just talking about in our separate Jonathan Kuminga video that is now going to be dropping tomorrow because of this breaking news that the Warriors could be looking to target someone like a Pascal Siakam. Do you think that this Chris Paul news changes anything about the trade deadline now? Maybe they shift from Siakam to an actual guard, or do you think that this is only going to make them more desperate to go after Siakam?
I think it's going to make them more desperate to go after Siakam, but at the same time, I was talking about Chris Paul being the asset going back to Toronto as matching salary. Now that throw a wrench in that because we have no idea how many weeks Chris Paul is going to be out for, and his trade value obviously diminishes with this move. When you think about some of the names on the trade market, maybe a Marcus Smart or an Alex Caruso as a defensive guard, now Golden State's probably going to be in the mix for those guys as well as 15 other teams this year because everybody needs a defensive wing nowadays in such a high-scoring NBA. But the trade package to get them, your young assets in Podziemski and Trace Jackson-Davis, or if you want to move off of Kuminga and Moses Moody, I don't know if that necessarily raises your ceiling like a Pascal Siakam would. And now without Chris Paul to match salary, it's going to make it a lot more difficult for them, in my opinion.
No, yeah, it's definitely going to be crazy because, I mean, Chris Paul, he started off the year really well with the Golden State Warriors. It looked like that was a really good fit. He was at first he was getting some starts, and then he was also running that bench unit, and it looked like all was well. But then as the season started going on, you saw the guys, their age started to show. Chris Paul wasn't as good of a fit because his three-point shot wasn't falling. Also on defense, he's still a pest, but guys are targeting him at the moments. And when you're stressing out, trying to put so much effort on defense, that only hurts you offensively. The Golden State Warriors, with this win over the Pistons, they are still in the play-in tournament range. They're right now in sole possession of the 10th seed, right ahead of the Los Angeles Lakers, who just took a loss to the Memphis Grizzlies, who are also trying to make way into the Western Conference. But, Caleb, this West, it's packed like always. You got young teams like the OKC Thunder, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Houston Rockets, all trying to make a name for themselves. And, I mean, it's crazy to think that the Golden State Warriors, who have been a dynasty for so long, it's kind of looking like, I wouldn't say it's completely crumbling, but they're just getting hit after hits. And do you think that the Draymond Green situation and the Klay Thompson situation, do you think that both of those kind of could be coming to an end now with this news coming out?
I mean, Draymond definitely not, because I feel like Steve Kerr has defended him at any point in his career, despite all the antics and sort of the big bag that he got and sort of the suspension that he has this year. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. Now, Klay is the more interesting one to me because over the past couple seasons, he's voiced that he wants to stay in Golden State. He wants a big contract to end his career alongside his fellow Splash brother and Steph Curry. But with the business of the NBA, you never know how these things are going to go. And given his production and his possible price tag, it could set up a very ugly divorce this season. Now, you're trying to string along these two timelines like we talked about in the Kuminga video. You ship out Jordan Poole, you bring in Chris Paul, and now this move seems like it's backfiring as well. You mentioned they might search for a guard on the trade market. Gary Payton was supposed to be that defensive replacement. You traded back for him last season. But obviously with both a calf injury and now a hamstring, it's just been a really tough run so far into the new year for the Warriors this season.
Yeah, and I think another interesting name on the trade market at the moment is DeJounte Murray from the Atlanta Hawks. Obviously, he is not the same defensive player he was years ago before he tore his ACL. I mean, he made that all-defensive team, but like I said, that was before the injury. And his fit in Atlanta next to Trae Young hasn't worked exactly like they have wanted it to. It looks like they want Trae Young to still be that point guard because of the money that he is making. And they prefer to get some more wings and shooting around him. Therefore, I propose this trade to you, Caleb. What do you think about potentially either a Moses Moody and an Andrew Wiggins package or a Jonathan Kuminga and an Andrew Wiggins package for a DeJounte Murray?
I would say I like the Moody one more, mainly because I think Kuminga is the better player at the moment, and Steve Kerr still feels like he has something in him. I feel that today's sort of showing of 36 minutes, a lot of energy and athleticism. Granted, you were playing the Pistons, but that's neither here nor there. I think long term, there's still something there, and if you could hammer out sort of these malcontent like moments right now, I would say Moody and Wiggins for DeJounte Murray makes more sense to me.
100%. I mean, the biggest concern that I have here with the trade and why I think that something like this could go down either for Murray or for Pascal Siakam is because the locker room. You have all this nonsense going on. You have all this chaos going on with injuries. The Golden State Warriors, they've been a top-heavy team, a model franchise this past 7 seasons, it feels like, ever since they started to make a rise, ever since they started dominating their way in the playoffs and to the finals. And they really haven't dealt with something like this. They've been able to kind of deal one situation, one thing at a time, whether it was the Jordan Poole and Draymond stuff, whether it was injuries to their stars, but they always had someone step up. But it just feels like other than Steph Curry, nobody is stepping up. Jonathan Kuminga hasn't been given the full opportunity to do so, but hopefully tonight was a sign of better things to come. But now, like Draymond said, you need an adult in that room, and the adult in that room is now going to be undergoing surgery and sidelined for who knows how long. Luckily, he has fractured his left hand, and it's not his shooting hand. He was only scoring 9 points a game, but also averaging over 7 assists. So he was still getting things done out there, no matter what people want to say about him. But like we're saying, timing is really, really bad right now. I think it's definitely going to make the Golden State Warriors buyers on the open market when it comes to trades. Is there anybody else you think that they could target to potentially help them fix this Chris Paul situation, or maybe even move Chris Paul on now that he got hurt?
I mean, the name that comes up now, especially you mentioned needing a guard in the room, maybe is Zach LaVine, although, again, I'm not sure how that fit would work, being as he's not the best on defense.
A lot of money, too.
A lot of money, too, and similar to DeJounte, long-term extension. And who knows if that's truly the move that they want to commit to, considering that Jordan Poole, they traded him 1 year within that extension that they gave him straight off the championship. So while I think that Zach LaVine is a talented scorer, as I've mentioned before on this pod, can do it at all 3 levels, how much that helps you this season, not too sure. But again, I'm just a man with a microphone. That's not my job.
Yep, that is both of us right here. Just 2 men with the microphone reacting to this breaking news right after we recorded a Jonathan Kuminga special. So we're going to try to get this video out to you guys as quick as possible. We want to hear all your thoughts below down in the comment section. Who are the Warriors going to target at this trade deadline? Will Chris Paul be on this team, make it through the trade deadline? And do you guys think that Steve Kerr is kind of in the same boat as the Irvin Ham right now? Not in the sense that his job could be on the line, but is he losing the locker room with all this chaos? Leave all your thoughts down below. Caleb, my man, thank you for staying on a little longer with me to react to this news.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you guys have a great night. And please subscribe, share your thoughts, and catch us next time.